Well, it's that time of the year when you get sales. I mean, a remarkable sharp fall from the price of commodities in market. They tell you they'll give you certain discounts, probably because they want to turn out some old stocks, or there is an increase in supply that is now higher than demand. But what happens in the international market when there is a sharp fall in price? For buyers, at our local markets, you get excited. I don't know what happens to buyers, but for now, there's a lot of changes and a lot of mathematical changes taking place at the international market. They've started talking about the fall in oil prices. How do all of these impact on the average Nigerian and all the economic system that we run? I'm joined now by a banker and an economist, Samuel Ulisa. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Call Digest.
Good morning.
Your cap doesn't look like the austerity measures.
This cap is 5 years old, so it's an old dress.
It doesn't look
so the austerity is just about to begin.
It's
so
all right. But let's try to kickstart from the basis for the benefit of our viewership, so that we can break it down to the average Nigerian to understand. What is this thing about a fall in oil prices that now affects our own economy in Nigeria? Thank
you very much. First of all, Nigerian economy is highly dependent on the inflow from the sales of crude oil, and that has been for over 20 years. We're talking of diversifying the economy base. Nigeria has got beautiful policies on paper, but in action, we have never acted. Recently, the United States of America, the largest buyer of our crude oil, has discovered alternative source, which is known as a shale oil. So as I'm talking to you now, America is no more buying Nigerian crude. What is shale oil, which America discovered? Shale oil is a sort of crude oil obtained from low permeability petroleum-bearing formations that is known as shales, like rock. Also, it is also known as tight oil. It is a synthetic crude oil, which is by thermal dissolution, and it's common in the United States. The world deposit of shale oil is about 4.8 trillion barrels all over the world. And America commands the largest quantity of about 3.7 trillion, a commercial quantity. However, America has not exploited this long time ago, because to exploit this, the technology needed and the cost of production is high. But in the last 6 years, when the price of crude oil was going up, the conventional crude oil, it hit $100 per barrel, went above that. At a time, it even hit about $140 per barrel. It was there America woke up that what is the future of our oil and gas? Apart from buying strategy and keeping it strategically, which is known as strategic reserves, America now decided that if crude can go above $100 per barrel, let's exploit our shale oil, whose technology was very high. And as I'm talking to you now, only 4% of the 3.7 trillion barrels could not be exploited if the price of conventional crude is about $80 per barrel. The remaining 96% could be exploited. In fact, America could afford to be producing shale oil if the price of conventional crude is $50 per barrel. There is an Oslo group that came out with this research and won OPEC. America, unless the price is kept at $50 per barrel for 1 year, 12 months, that America can reduce the production of their shale oil by 500,000 barrels per day. Not that they will not be able to produce. So you can see where we are coming from. Then, in addition to this, the Middle East, Iran, and Iraq have released their own output to the market.
I see.
Hitherto there was crisis in Iraq. They were not producing. Then Iran was under international ban. But all those are history. So we released from those two countries too, has dampened it further. And apart from that, a lot of African states have discovered crude.
Oil as well.
So Nigeria
it looks
now,
as if,
yeah. So those are the effects. The supply side
I see,
moved up. The demand side reduced.
you know, all of this boils down to the fact that oil remains the mainstay of our economy in this part of the world, and there's been lots of talk as regards Nigeria diversifying its economy. Do you see us walking in that path now, or do you see this now being the blessing in disguise that will force us back right on track?
Well, it's very unfortunate that we, can I say, intentionally got ourselves in this quagmire. It's not as if we are not aware that we should diversify our economic base. It's not as if there is no capacity to do so. But just the refusal from those that are in charge of the economy to do so has brought us here. Apart from, right now, we can call it a blessing in disguise. But let me tell you, anywhere in the world, when you are restructuring your economy, you are restructuring the base of the economy, you need to fund it. Oil money will have been a good avenue of funding all those restructuring. But we have wasted all the wealth. Then apart from that, if you look at the structure of our budget, we'll be saying it, we have been complaining about it. If you look at the structure of our budget, how come only about 20%, 20-25% is for capital expenditure? And the capital expenditure will drive infrastructure and future development. While the remaining 70-75% is for recurrent expenditure, that is spend what you have today. And that is why Nigeria economy cannot withstand the immediate shocks of the free fall in the price of oil.
But then the federal government's position is quite different, because we've had the Minister of Finance as well as the coordinating Minister of the Economy come up to say that this would not affect us anyway. Let me even quote her. She said, and I quote, "The drop in oil prices is a serious challenge which we must confront as a country." But he also said, but we should also not forget that we retain some important advantages, such as a broad economic base driven by the private sector and anchored on sound policies.
We know that our economy is a broad economy base driven by private sector.
The question is, do we have enough buffer?
Wait. Let me answer the questions one by one.
Okay.
To say that it will not affect us, it's not the truth. Immediately we are having the effect. The rate of exchange, naira dollar exchange, is already taking to, last year budget was predicated, this year budget was predicated on 160 naira to $1. Right now, the dollar, as at yesterday, the auction, is going for 173 point, almost 174 to the dollar. Then what are you talking about? That we see our economy is not insulated from external shocks, particularly when it is a monolithic economy, where we have deliberately refused to diversify the economic base, where we have fine policies on paper, but implementation has been wobbling. So we are susceptible. And again, one of the immediate measures, the Minister of Economy, the Honorable Minister of Economy, with all due respect, said that we are going to put in place is to withdraw $2 billion
from the excess
crude account. And the excess crude account, how much is it? $4.1 billion. And this is the half. This is not half of the top quarter.
Is it the same $2 billion that the governors are asking for? Because the governors also came up to ask for $2 billion from
the excess crude account. Of course, it's the same thing. You know that they share money every month. And what they are sharing now is going down. So they cannot fund their state operation. They cannot pay salary. They cannot fund, the only blessing I see in this situation is that the source of funding corruption is drying up. So we must sit up. So what I'm saying in essence is that it is not now that we just should begin to restructure. We should have been doing it even 6 years ago. When the price picked up, I was going up. We should have used it and use a benchmark for ourselves, maybe $40 per barrel.
But let's get this really
cut
down.
That $40 per barrel.
Okay.
And all will have saved more. Today we won't be talking of 4.1 billion in excess crude account. But what Nigeria has earned in the last 6-7 years, we should be talking about nothing less than about $60 billion.
But what
in
happened?
Our excess crude account.
What actually happened to this other sectors of the economy? Because many have also come out to compare what the economy was like before we discovered oil how abundantly rich and comfortable Nigerians were
Then you should also ask them
at those times.
what was the population of Nigeria that time.
I see.
So Nigeria can be likened to the case of a father who is marrying more wives and bringing forth more children and refuse to plan for the future. So people always find it easy to say that before the oil came in, we were doing well. There is no doubt about that. But what is the population? What was the population of Nigeria then compared to it now? What was the level of infrastructure required for development then compared to what we need now?
Where I'm actually going is that what are the limitations for diversifying our economy in the area of agriculture, technology, other areas that could also bring in revenue apart from oil and gas?
Now, it's not as if government has not been spending money. They have been releasing, they have been budgeting for it. But the problem we have in Nigeria is corruption. It still boils down to corruption.
Okay.
We'll be talking of agriculture. People have been praising the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Adewumi. They'll be praising him as if it's a one-man show. And when you look at it, where is the Nigerian rice? I only see large-scale farms on television. Where is the Nigerian rice in the market? As we're sitting here, we still buy imported rice. The price of rice for the past 4 years has remained around between 9,000 and 10,500 per 50 kilogram bag.
Okay.
If Nigerian rice has been coming in, that means, is it not that more oil has been supplied internationally that the price is going down? The price of rice will have been going down.
Okay.
What we see out there are our yams produced by small scale farmers.
Okay.
Not the large scale farmers, not the dry season farmers, not the television based farmers. So it's not as if Nigeria has not been providing money, but this issue of corruption, the money has not been going to the right place.
The minister reiterated recently the position of Mr. President in his re-election campaign speech, where he said that the growth index for the country has remained above 6% for a while. What does that mean, and how does it impact on the situation?
All those figures that they roll out, including rebasing the Nigerian economy, they are good for policy, and they are good for PR. You understand what I'm saying? Now, it's unfortunate. We need somebody who is wiser than a tortoise to rule Nigeria. Somebody who can cross-check out there beyond his cocoon where they kept him. The president is a simple man. I'm not here to criticize him. He thinks things are done normally. He couldn't find out. His ministers and advisors are not telling him the truth because everybody is fighting against his own interests. So if he can go beyond that cocoon, he will discover that most of the ministers are corrupt. Most of the advisors are corrupt. The corruption today is a state weapon.
It's all right. Let's quickly touch on...
So what we're saying in essence is that all those money are not going to the right place.
All right. Let's touch on the austerity measures as being proposed by the federal government. It spans from curtailing wastage to taxation of luxury goods. But then the Minister of Economy, of Finance, also talked about cutting traveling expenses by civil servants, training programs abroad, taxing products like champagnes, alcohols, high tax on private jets, yachts, and all of that. And when she was asked, she said, well, it's a way for the super rich in the country to give back to their immediate community at these trying times. What are your reactions along that line?
I've read those austerity measures. They are
just a minute, before you answer that, let's take this caller from Adamawa, I believe. Good morning, Adio. Are you there?
Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with a contribution, please.
In short, I really love this program. Yeah, my contribution is, Mr. President, hello?
Go ahead, please.
He refused to talk the truth what is happening in the president. We have to hold Mr. President as responsible for everything happening in this Nigeria. Because
the line is having a problem.
So we want President to tell us where Nigeria is going. If not issue of election 2015 is the issue.
It's all right.
People is there, they cannot give us feedback up to this. We keep all this general spending Nigerian money anyhow. Can't you make a final decision to retire from the brigadier general up? Let them go and sleep. Then leave a corner, give our one star general to start to lead the armed forces.
Well, I believe you made your point there, Adio. Thank you very much for calling. But please, callers, we really appreciate you, but we keep telling you every now and then that when you call us, mute your TV. There's a little delay between what we say here and what you hear on your StarTimes device. So you cannot afford to be listening to yourself at the same time calling in on the program, please, so that we can do without the feedback distortion. All of these austerity measures, do you see it cutting down not only on the expenses of the government,
I was on it
but dealing with corruption?
The caller called in, and I also appreciate if callers can restrain themselves to the topic.
To the topic of discussion.
Because, right. I've read through all the austerity measures. They cannot do anything. How many Nigerians have a private jets? That are going to tax that will give you $1 billion. Don't you know what we're talking about? Don't you know the revenue we're losing? How many people consume, what do you consider as a luxury goods? It's subjective.
I was going to get there.
What do you consider? It is subjective. Now, what the palliative measure, which I think the Honorable Ministers will be talking about immediately, is cut in the salaries of all workers, including the National Assembly.
Okay.
You know, because you cannot see the percentage in which your revenue is not dwindling. So the governors should be made to know that they cannot just be carrying, logs henceforth. You should sit down and restructure the budget. Restructure the budget, cut it across the board, affecting even the minister. So let everybody see it. By saying you want to tax luxury goods, what of tomorrow you wake up and you consider 5 alive luxury goods, which is being taken by majority of people, or you consider bottled water as luxury goods. So let us know what we are calling luxury goods, and let the palliative measure go beyond private airlines tax.
Many have also criticized the system of government that we run being quite expensive, where the recurrent expenditure at times, outshines the...
In Nigeria, we have 36 states, 72 ministers.
Just a minute before, just please hold on to that thought. We have Yahya calling now. Good morning, Yahya.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, welcome to Call Digest.
Good morning, sir. I'm very happy with your program this morning. So I want to thank your visitor there. I'm very intelligent man. So I have a statement I want to make. I want to Mr. President. Mr. President makes a statement that corruption is not Nigerian problem. Please, can somebody analyze and tell Mr. President that the problem of Nigeria is himself, the president. Since we cannot differentiate between corruption and sin, he was the one telling we Nigerians that sin is good for Russia. At the same time, telling us, when we know that corruption is good of Nigeria, he was coming up by telling us that Nigeria's problem is not corruption. Please, advise me, I don't know, people who are intellectually who are not being fit in that position. So just people there who, I don't know what to call them, thugs are now the leader of Nigeria. How what the talk have to do with Nigeria? They have to govern. Thugs don't know how to govern. I'm sorry for Nigeria. I'm sorry to be Nigeria.
Yeah.
Please, sir, I'm very happy with this program.
Thank you very much for your contribution, calling from Benin, right? Good to have you join us today, yeah. But it's also amazing.
What I was saying before the call, Nigeria, we have 36 states, multiplied by 72 ministers. Each minister, they have special advisor. They have a personal assistant in different areas. We have 36 governors, 36 deputy governors. Even America, that started this executive system of government, cannot run it the way we are running it in Nigeria. How many special advisors, how many personal assistants? A personal assistant will also have another personal assistant. So it's too expensive. So a system, the real austerity will start with the top.
Okay.
Don't tell Nigerians to carry bet. Reduce all those appointments. Cut down the salaries. Cut down the travels. I'm happy she mentioned travels. They knew. Because what they collect in extra code is a staggering amount. They know it themselves. So when Dr. Okojo, well, with all due respect, when he came back the second time as the Minister of Finance, I also capped
the
it as
coordinating
the coordinating Minister of
the
Economy. I thought, as a World Bank disciplined minister, that it will restructure the Nigerian budget, it will plug the loopholes, she will now reduce the recurrent expenditure and enhance the capital expenditure.
That's all right.
And enhance investment. But unfortunately, maybe she didn't have the temerity to tell them. But now it has done
let's quickly take this last call on this segment. Moses from Kaduna, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Go ahead with the contribution, please.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think I enjoy your program.
Thank you.
But if you're talking about corruption, at times it pisses some of us off. Every person will come over begin to tell us about corruption. But when you give them the opportunity, the problem is when they get to the office, they see the same thing like every other person is doing. I think if we really look at the issue of this corruption and we want to do something about it, it should start from us, like from me talking. If people should think of corruption being a very bad thing, I should begin to recognize that even in my house, we should start talking about corruption, ministers corrupted, this corrupted, the president is this or is that. What about us, ourselves? I think this is where we should start from, and this is what we should be thinking about, working on ourselves, thinking the way forward, helping the government. We are all human beings. We are human beings. The ministers are human beings. We should begin to pay for them and begin to think ahead and begin to support them in everything we think, we can.
It's all right.
I think this is what we should be talking about as Nigerians, coming together, fighting these things, starting from us, ourselves. Thank you very much.
Quite unconventional contribution there. Thank you very much for your participation, Moses, calling from Kaduna. Good to have you join us. Well, let's wrap it up this way, because austerity measure seems to scare quite a lot of average Nigerians, especially as we come down to Christmas and New Year. I mean, I say price of commodities or taxation of workers. I hope this won't trickle down fast to the people at the bottom of the ladder.
Why not? That is why that's what they are telling you. For instance, the price used for the crude for the 2015 budget, the minister has pegged it down from 79 to 73, but that is too ambitious. With the rate at which the price is falling, I don't think that will be reasonable.
You think it will fall below that? It will
fall below that, far below that. It's been falling. The last 2 weeks, look at the chart. So one would have expected them to use about $55 for the 215, between $50 to $55 for 2015 budget, so that we can be more realistic.
Some have also suggested printing.
We can now know what is coming in based on that. And I want you to know one thing. If I are able to peg loopholes, the other man was talking about corruption, yes, it's a recurring factor in everything we do. When you say body is cancerous, you have to fight the cancer first. So if you can block the loopholes, and we can efficiently manage our resources, even at $40 per barrel, Nigerian economy will still boom. We can still survive. Yes. Some have suggested printing more money. No, that will be printing more money can't work. Escalate inflation. It will cause hyperinflation. Look at the case in Zimbabwe. That's right. At the time, a loaf of bread became $1 billion Zimbabwe dollars. You need to carry money inside basket to buy a loaf of bread, so that Zimbabwe produce a currency of 1 billion. I see. So they have to abandon their currency at a time using the US dollar. Samuel Lisa is a banker and an economist. We're going to have much more time to discuss this subsequently. We hope that you find time to join us again. Thank you. It's Core Digest Thursday. We'll take a short break now. We'll be talking taxation. Do you pay your tax? What exactly do you do about tax? And how exactly will the fall in oil price affect all of this? Stick around. Don't go away. From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife and Moten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all
all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on Core TV News.